Welcome to This Week in Washington for June the 1st, 2012. Around me, you see some examples of some very hard work that was done by our staff yesterday, compiling their visions and hopes for the association's efforts in the short and long term ahead. Part of our process of gathering up ideas that we can build upon to be a better association and to provide more services to our members in these very critical and unusual times. We also took advantage of what we heard at Expo to also provide information to developing our strengths and communication skills and technical assistance skills, which will be important in both the short and long term. That's one of the things that's very good about our Expo, because all of us always find it to be an inspiration when we hear from people who are at the local level who report back to us about what they think that we should be doing. Also this week, I was lucky enough, along with Jane Harden of our staff and our board member Bill McDonald, to attend a special meeting at the AARP concerning the future of transportation for America's seniors. It was very gratifying to hear people from around the country, some who I had never met, speak up about the great work our association is doing and the important work that our ambassadors facilitate in helping people to develop coordination efforts and to serve seniors. All of this is incorporated in some of the notes and some of the charts that are around us today. Speaking of Expo, I do want to reiterate it was a very fine Expo, and I'm sure that we all took away fairly good memories of some specific events. One in particular, I was very glad to see the award that we gave to Jeff Webster and to see Jeff actually show up and be able to receive the award. Jeff should have received from me my favorite award, my own version of Profiles in Courage, because as his board chairman was nice enough to mention at the end of his award ceremony that Jeff has done his job under the most trying personal and physical conditions one could imagine. Here's a man who, after an extensive series of chemotherapy and surgery, finds himself in a hospital bed, piled up with pieces of paper from his organization in Fresno, working on ways that he can develop new and innovative transportation services. That's the kind of person Jeff is. But that's also the kind of person that we know really makes up the family of people we call community transportation. Since we came back from Expo, by the way, there has been continued discussion here about what's going on with reauthorization. And if you're following us on our email and following us on our website, you'll see that we've been adding information as it arises. Yesterday, there was some discussion that the entire reauthorization process was dead. But then it was alive again, and then it was dead again. And then we saw that there was a proposed resolution in the House being developed to instruct the conferees who were attending the conference to try to iron out a bill, a proposal that under no circumstances should the House conferees vote for anything financially except what came out of the trust fund, a significant reduction in the overall program. Nothing happened on that resolution last night, and it is a reminder that hardly anything has happened since the first discussions took place on a possible bill, probably a month ago. As more and more time passes and we get closer and closer to the election, we still think it's going to be very, very difficult to get a reauthorization out. And of course, as we said last week, this version of a reauthorization is really nothing more than a one-year extension, which will require us to return to these very issues less than a year from now as we begin to try to plan a strategy to find the revenue that we still need to make the improvements in our transportation program. Let me turn briefly then back to the things on the wall. We know that one of the topics that was discussed here yesterday and discussed extensively in Expo is how do we find ways to support transportation in these difficult times? How can we try to harness and harvest the benefits of technology and innovation and efficiency that are all part of our transportation network. And we're going to continue to explore those things, not only like we did yesterday, but around the country, looking for better examples to help our members get through this period while we still continue our effort to try to find ways to make the government more of a partner and someone who wants to invest in these outcomes, regardless of the difficult economic or political times. Part of the issue that I think that came up yesterday, and an important part of the issue that we heard about last week at Expo, was that in a time of diminished public investment and private investment and local investment, we are really dependent upon the men and women who are in leadership roles in our field to get us through this period, and that we must be as self-reliant as we can, trying to plot our own course. I didn't participate in much of the discussion yesterday, but I was here for the summary and presentation from staff to hear their ideas and also to hear the things that they think will be important for us. In the process, on my arrival, I brought some words with me that are deeply rooted in one of the Native American communities of our country, the Hopi Nation, that has, I think, an important summary of what this process was all about and what we tried to get at Expo last week. And I thought I would close today by sharing this with you, which I think is an extremely important thing to keep in mind as we look forward to the struggles and efforts of the next several months and in the next several years as we continue to try to build transportation at a time when it's very, very politically difficult. Anyway, the Hopis wrote these words several hundred years ago, and they originally came from an oral tradition that someone transcribed several decades ago. But basically, these words, I think, sum up our situation. There is a river flowing very fast. It is so great and swift that there are those who are afraid. They will feel that they are being torn apart by this river and that they will suffer greatly. Know that the river has a destination. The elders we seek tell us that we must let go of the shore, push off into the middle of this fastly flowing river, and keep our eyes open and our heads above water. We must see who is in this river with us, and we must celebrate that they are there. The time of the lone wolf is over. We must gather ourselves because we are the ones that we have been waiting for. I think that's an important lesson of the last 2 weeks, that we are the ones who have gotten us this far, and we are also the ones as an industry who will take us to a much better future. So with those words, I'd like to wish you a very happy June 1st. I hope you have a great weekend, and we'll be in touch shortly. Meanwhile, thanks for all you did last week, and we look forward to hearing from you shortly. Bye for now.